If Freedom Failed. We'd like to take you on a visit to a town that doesn't exist. A town we call Springfield, USA. We'd like to show you how things would be in any American town if communism took over. To illustrate what happens to a man of the arts under a communist regime, Gregory Peck plays the part of Charles Reed in A Matter of Fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the first of a series of chamber music concerts which is being presented by the Springfield County Museum. Today's artists were the Muse-Art Piano Quartet. Future concerts will include the American Art Quartet, the Seidenberg and Rebner Piano Team, the Lillian-Stubner Trio, and the Kempinski String Quartet. I hope to see you all here again next Sunday at 3 p.m. Thank you and good afternoon.
Mr. Fowler.
Oh, good afternoon, Mrs. Havenscourt. Enjoy the program?
I thought it was simply superb. Magnificent. I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed it. Such melody. Such music.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Havenscourt, and I'm sure our future programs will be equally as good. Oh, here's Mr. Reed. Afternoon, Jeff.
Afternoon, Jim. Nice program.
Thank you. Well, this is Mrs. Havenscourt. I'd like you to meet Mr. Reed, the director of the Springfield Museum.
How do you do?
Oh, I'm so happy to know you. You're all doing such wonderful work bringing all this culture to Springfield.
Well, we're happy if our efforts please you.
Goodness knows this is one place the communists haven't tried to interfere with. Everything else in town has to be supervised. Well, do forgive me if I run off. I must talk with you, okay? Sometime.
Good day.
Goodbye. There's appreciation of art for you. That woman knows nothing about music, but she's been here for every series. I'd like to talk about it to her friends, I guess.
Well, that remark she made about the communists interfering, I'm afraid they've finally gotten around to us.
Oh, no. What could they possibly find wrong with the museum?
I'm having a meeting in my office tomorrow morning with the rest of the staff. I expect to have the complete directive by then.
Oh, I don't see what they could possibly want with us. Everything in the museum is... Well, it just is.
We'll know more about it tomorrow. Now, how about coming over for dinner tonight?
Oh, thanks a lot, but not tonight. I'm booked.
Grace?
Well, tell Stella I said hello anyhow. See you in your office tomorrow. I'm curious to know about our new directive.
More potatoes, Edward.
No, thanks, Mom.
Charles?
No, I'm finished. What's for dessert?
Ice cream cake. Pour the coffee, will you?
Say, Dad, I heard you and Mom talking about some new directives for the museum. What are they going to do?
Oh, I don't know, son. I'm getting the full information in the morning.
Oh, I'll bet they'll do the same thing they're doing to us in history.
What do you mean?
Remember that history book you gave me? The one you used in college?
Yes.
Well, every year when we get our new history text, the facts go farther and farther from what your book says. It's a little confusing.
Here we are. Pass me your plate.
Well, what is it that confuses you?
Well, for example, World War II. I want to read something to you that we were studying today. I'll go get my book.
Poor boy. He's confused.
I don't understand how they think they can twist facts to suit their own purpose. Do they think people will believe them?
Well, look at Edward. All he knows about the war is what he learns in school or what we tell him.
Stella, what are you driving at?
Charles, I really think we shouldn't contradict their teaching.
Stella.
Well, they've put him in work brigades night after night as punishment for his refusal to accept their version of history. He's the one who's suffering.
Sorry to be so long. I couldn't find the place I was looking for. Now, here's what it says. Only the heroic struggle of the Soviet armed forces, which fought fascist Germany single-handed, made it possible for them, without any outside help, to completely smash the Hitler war machine and liberate Europe from the German fascist invaders.
Well, doesn't it say anything about a little help from us by means of an invasion?
Yes. Here. The main objectives of the landings by the English and Americans was not so much to defeat the Germans as to forestall the complete liberation of Western Europe by the Soviets.
Give me that
Charles,
book.
Dad, my book!
I'm sorry.
Edward, pick up your book. I'll help you in a minute. Charles, I think you'd better rest. You have a meeting in the morning.
Good morning, Margaret. Mr. Reed in?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Fowler. Mr. Reed is in conference with Mr. Davis.
Who?
After the communists took over here, he was appointed to the top position in the Ministry of Information. And from what I've heard, they're going to take over public information services, like libraries and museums.
Well, I can understand why they'd want to take over the libraries. I suppose there's a lot of material they don't want the public to read, but museums, why, everything here is past history. There's nothing they can change here.
Well, they've been at it an awfully long time in there. You want me to find out if Mr. Reed can see you?
No, the meeting of the department head starts in 10 minutes. I just wanted to see if he was ready.
You might as well sit down. No telling how long they'll be there.
I don't exactly know how I'm going to break this to my staff. These regulations are quite radical.
Nevertheless, they will be made. They are important. That is why I came here personally to present them. In the future, a member of the ministry will make periodic checks to see that you do not deviate.
I see. Morning, Jim. Mr. Davis, I'd like you to meet one of my staff. This is Mr. Fowler, head of our music department. Jim, this is Mr. Davis of the Ministry of Information.
Morning.
How do you do? It is unfortunate that some of your programming will have to be changed, Mr. Fowler.
Changed? How do you mean?
Mr. Reed will inform you of the changes. I shall see you again soon, gentlemen. Good morning.
What's he talking about?
Oh, I'd better break it to the whole staff at once. Margaret, I'll be in the meeting hall. No calls until I'm through.
Yes, Mr. Reed.
That pipsqueak. That unspeakable moron.
Lord, if that is all that.
Do you know anything about Davis's background?
A little.
You won't believe some of the things you're going to hear. And coming from that illiterate, that ignorant...
Hey, you'd better compose yourself, son. I've never seen you this flustered.
Well, I've never been this flustered. I didn't sleep well last night. Blew up at home, and now this.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Please be seated. Gentlemen, I suggest you prepare yourselves for a shock. Or rather, several shocks. All of our schedules here at the museum have been altered. Music, films, talks, and the art exhibition. We'll start with Fowler and his musical program. What was your schedule, Jim?
We were going to present a series of 12 concerts featuring the chamber music of France. You had the first program yourself yesterday afternoon.
Yes. Effective immediately, the entire program will be discontinued.
Oh, no. Jim, you can't be serious.
I'm perfectly serious. Now for the documentary films, gentlemen. The series of films entitled Fishing Around the World is canceled. An approved film showing the advantages of living on a collective farm will replace the one entitled Speckled Trout Across Canada. I presume that this film is considered subversive. Gentlemen, quiet, please. Now, here are the written regulations governing your various departments. I shall not cover the instructions given us in regard to which paintings we may exhibit, nor on the subjects we may discuss. Your schedules will be altered to conform with these approved programs immediately.
Oh, come in, Fred.
Oh, excuse me, Jim. I didn't know you were using your own.
That's all right. You needn't go. Now, wait till I turn this down a little. There, that's better. Didn't realize how loud I had it.
Yeah, it's nice. What is it?
Some of the approved music. Shostakovich.
Oh, it sounds okay.
Oh, sure, but how can I put this kind of stuff on in our music rooms? It needs a symphony orchestra, and all the chamber music that's any good is on the kaput list. You can't use it.
I'm having the same trouble with films. I'm going to ask Reed if we can discontinue the series entirely.
Mr. Fowler, Mr. Taylor, would you step out into the hall, please?
Oh, Mr. Reed, I wanted to talk to you. My schedule of films, it seems that... Oh.
Yes. Go on, Mr. Taylor.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were with Mr. Reed. It wasn't anything.
Mr. Davis wants us to accompany him.
Please, I'd like to hear what Mr. Taylor has to say about his...
Well, I wanted to ask if we could discontinue the series.
Doesn't the subject matter appeal to you, Mr. Taylor?
It isn't exactly that. It's just that the attendance has fallen off. It hardly seems worthwhile.
Nevertheless, you will continue to show them. And I suggest that you publicize them a little more than you've been doing. That may increase the attendance somewhat.
I shall be happy to comply with any instructions issued by the director, Mr. Reed. After all, it is his prerogative to determine
Mr. Taylor, I should like to remind you that the cultural activities in this city fall under the Ministry of Information, and I am in charge of that department. Mr. Reed serves only to transmit orders from my office.
Now, just a minute, Mr. Davis. I am director of this museum. I don't intend to be a mere figurehead.
I am not interested in your intentions. I shall remind you of one thing. If there is any further deviation from the orders issued by the ministry, you may be even less than a figurehead. Now, I did not come here to argue with you. Just opened a new exhibit, I understand.
Yes, we have. It's pottery and porcelain from various ages.
That's the one. I wish to see it. All of you will please accompany me.
This is the section, Mr. Davis. What in particular did you wish to see?
All of it. It's quite a large room. Good display cabinets.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reed. Gentlemen.
Now, Mr. Crandall, this is Mr. Davis, in charge of culture for Springfield. He wishes to see your pottery and porcelain exhibit.
Oh, that's very nice. We have a wonderful selection from primitive times to the present day. Now, where would you like to start?
Oh, it's the same to me. This place reminds me of a novelty store.
Oh, but surely you're not serious, Mr. Davis. Well, now, let's start right here with the decorated pottery of ancient Greece and Italy. Now, this one on the lower shelf is a Roman crater or mixing bowl. It bears the design of the seasons and dates back to the 1st century before Christ.
Fine, but I do not have time for you to describe every piece. Let's move more quickly.
Oh, well, now, over here we have English porcelain and here we see some early Chinese pottery sculpture. Notice the horse from the Tang Dynasty and the rare blue clay.
That's enough. Let's get on with it.
But Mr. Davis, you're hardly looking at any of the art objects. Why do you keep looking at the walls and ceiling?
I was thinking that it is a shame to waste such good storage space.
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Crandall, I don't think that Mr. Davis cares to see any more.
On the contrary, I find it quite interesting. Do go on, Mr. Crandall.
Oh, well, yes. Now, right here. Well, here is our prize exhibit.
You mean that flower pot?
Mr. Davis, this is a 14th century Syrian vase. Notice the metallic luster and the beautiful blue glaze. And
unlock the case, Mr. Crandall.
Sir?
I'd like to take a closer look.
Well, Mr. Reed, I don't think...
Unlock the case.
Do as he says, Mr. Crandall.
Why, yes, of course. Now, please, Mr. Davis, don't take it off the shelf. You might...
Now, what is so wonderful about a piece of dishware?
Dishware? Why, for years this was in the Victorian Albert Museum. We have received hundreds of requests to display it. Now, if you will only look closely at the...
How clumsy of me.
You did that on purpose.
Mr. Reed, I want all of this junk moved out of here. We're going to move the public library in this section of the museum. And, of course, we shall no longer need the services of Mr. Crandall. He's dismissed.
That must be them now, Charles. Will you get it?
All right. Well, good evening. Come in.
Hello, Charles.
Evening, Jack.
Here, let me take your coat.
Hello, Grace. Jim, nice to see you. Here, Charles, I'll put the coats away. Give the children a drink, will you?
Oh, children. You make it sound like you two are a couple of old fogies.
No such thing. Here, I have the martinis all mixed. Shall I pour one for you, Stella?
Yes, indeed.
I hear we have a new employee at the museum, Chuck.
Did they mention that to me, Charles?
Well, he just came to work this morning. I didn't know I was getting him. He was appointed by the ministry. Davis's idea.
Oh, who is he?
His name is Shukov. He's from Russia. Seems they're importing native communists to take over supervision of all the ministries in America. This one's a specialist on museums and art.
Someone else to look out for, though Davis wasn't bad enough. This one will be on our necks all day long.
I don't know. I had quite a talk with him today. Doesn't seem like a bad sort. In fact, when I told him about Davis breaking the vows, he seemed a bit shocked. Oh, he didn't say anything outright, but I think he doesn't quite approve of Davis or his methods.
You be careful of what you say to him. There's no telling what he might do, in spite of how nice he may seem.
Well, don't worry. I haven't said anything. Mostly listened. We're to meet again in the morning to talk about revising the setup of our exhibits.
If they keep it up, there won't be anything left to show.
Well, we can only hope he won't be too harsh.
Well, there's one thing we can be thankful for anyway. And all the purges and disappearances that have been going on, nothing's happened to anyone close to us.
There's little enough to be thankful for in a land that's occupied by a foreign power. Let's hope it doesn't get any worse than it is.
Now, this is supposed to be a party. Charles, another martini, please.
You are listening to A Matter of Fact, starring Gregory Peck. A story of the way things could be if communism took over. A picture of what life would be like under a communist regime in an ordinary American town. A town we call Springfield, USA.
This section is where we have our porcelain and pottery exhibits. We're converting it into a library. Another of Mr. Davis's innovations.
It seems to be a rather small area for a library.
Mr. Davis tells us that our library will be considerably thinned out by the time it's ready to move in.
I see. I have enjoyed immensely this tour of your building.
Well, this is all of it.
Huh? Well, then I wonder if I might speak to you alone, Mr. Reed.
Surely. Oh, Jim Davis is coming in this afternoon to look over our exhibits on inventions. I wonder if you'd mind checking there to see if everything's in order?
Oh, sure, be good.
Well, let's step into Crandall's old office. Get away from this noise. I have a slight headache.
Sorry? It's nothing serious?
No, I don't know. I've been having them for some time. Please sit down. Thank you. Chairs are a bit dusty. Now, what did you wish to speak to me about?
Mr. Reed, some of what I say to you here, I will say at great risk to myself, although I have no notorious revelations to make. You are an intelligent man, and you have a deep appreciation of the arts.
Well, thank you, but what...
In Russia, I held a position similar to that which you hold here. And in Russia, the communists did the same things they are doing here. At first I protested. I soon found that it was safer to do as they said. By following the party line, I became an authority on museum work, although I was not particularly more qualified than many others.
Mr. Shukov, why are you telling me this?
Because I respect you, Mr. Reed, and because I want you to respect me. There will be things, intolerable things, that I must make you do while I am here. Changes in your work that will repulse you. I hate it, all of it.
You know that you could be killed for making a statement like that.
Yes, I know. But I had to speak to someone. You see, I had spent my whole life in Russia until they sent me here to supervise the alterations in the American museums. Always I had heard about how freedom of expression was denied to the American people.
What caused you to change your mind?
I have been impressed by the truthfulness of your museums. There as they should be, houses of truth in which there can be no place for falsification and counterfeits, things that true scholarship cannot tolerate.
Well, so far, we haven't had to falsify anything.
But you will.
I don't understand. What is there in a museum that you can make false? Everything here is simply a matter of fact. You can't change facts.
You would be surprised at some of the facts that communism can change. In fact, you may witness the alteration of some facts this very afternoon when Mr. Davis arrives.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, Mr. Reed. I'm over here in the electrical section.
Sorry I didn't catch you when you came in.
That's all right. I've been enjoying myself browsing through these displays. They're very amusing.
Amusing?
Yes, I don't know who's been doing your research, Mr. Reed, but I've never seen a more flagrant display of misinformation. Take this exhibit right here, the works of Thomas Alva Edison.
Edison was one of America's greatest inventors.
But what did he invent?
What? Everything you see on display here.
Permit me to show you where you're wrong. This card here, for example. It reads, Edison includes among his first inventions in the field of telegraphy the transmitter and receiver for the automatic telegraph, similar to the model displayed here.
Well, he did invent it.
Mr. Reed, I have with me some notes from the encyclopedia compiled by the Communist Academy of Science. In them, you will find that the transmitter and receiver shown here were invented by Jacobi in St. Petersburg in the year 1845. Mr. Edison wasn't born until 2 years later.
Mr. Davis, I don't believe that, and I don't think you do either.
This is just one of the many errors I find here. It seems that your greatest errors lie in the dates of these inventions. The most important advances in almost every field come after the revolution in Russia. Under communism and its resultant freedom, men of science were able to forge ahead in these many fields. Let us consider this carbon telephone transmitter.
Edison worked with Emil Berliner on that. They invented it together.
The telephone was invented in Russia. I see that you have credited Edison with the invention of the first motion picture machine. This was invented by Boldyrev.
What other inventions did the communists inspire, Mr. Davis?
In this department, almost everything you have attributed to these imposters. You know, of course, Vic Stasemsky.
No.
Then you are not fit for your job. He invented the photographic method of recording and reproducing sound. Edison had nothing to do with that, nor with sound motion pictures.
I think I've heard enough, Mr. Davis.
There is much more, Mr. Reed. You will see that the proper changes are made. Come with me. Here. A model of the plane in which the first sustained flight was made by the Wright brothers, Poppycock. 25 years before them, Golyubov became the first flyer in the world when he flew the first motor-driven plane built by Alexander Mochasky, the father of modern aviation.
May I see those notes, Mr. Davis?
You may. And in your office, you will find a copy of the Academy of Science Encyclopedia to guide you in making the necessary changes in these exhibits.
I see. This is quite interesting. The theory of jet propulsion was originally developed under the Communist Aeronautic League. And the design for the first jet plane was suggested by
Tsiolkovsky.
Yes. Now, this list covers a multitude of subjects. Aeronautics, electricity, transportation, communication.
That is correct. Please see that the guide cards are changed in accordance with the Academy Encyclopedia so that proper credit is given for all these works.
Is that all?
Yes, that is all. Oh, yes. The bust of Benjamin Franklin in the main hallway.
You wish to have the bust removed?
Oh, yes.
Franklin's experiments in electricity was stolen from early Russian scientists.
You knew this all along?
Why, of course. His statue will be removed immediately.
Not removed. Destroyed.
Oh, destroyed, of course. Like this.
Control yourself, Mr. Reed. You will need those notes. You serve no purpose by tearing them up.
Now, let us play safe. Let us destroy all photographs and paintings and statues and books. Burn them!
I don't think that will be necessary. Just a certain few which we find are not in keeping.
And the names of the artists will be removed from our paintings, and we'll add the name of some communists.
Mr. Reed, you've been working too hard. A little rest will do you.
What about painting in the lobby? The one of Adam and Eve. Shall we have it removed? Or has it been established by the ministry that they, too, were communists?
Don't get excited.
Oh, I have an even better idea. Why don't we just tear down the whole museum, Mr. Davis? This model is a telephone. Edison didn't invent this. Tear down and destroy. Where did communism begin its work of alteration, Mr. Davis? Wasn't it with the churches? All the churches have been closed or destroyed. Like this. What about the symbols of religion? What about God, Mr. Davis? You destroyed the statues and paintings of Jesus Christ himself. And freedom. What have you done to freedom? You've torn it from the people. You rip the heart and soul out of every freedom-loving country on earth. Rip the heart out as you rip fine history. Destroy. Destroy as you destroy a fragile piece of valuable pottery. Like you destroyed every semblance of decency. Like you destroyed human rights and religion and freedom. Destroy every vestige of decency and honor and faith and life.
Yet on Mr. Reed?
No, I haven't. No one answers at the house.
Well, how about the Ministry of Information?
They said they'd call us if they found out anything. And Mr. Davis said he was coming over this afternoon to see how we were progressing on labeling the new exhibit.
Well, he's going to be unhappy. It's not coming along very well. Nobody wants to put up those lies.
I've been typing a list of the inventions. Listen to what they say. Further information will be forthcoming on other inventions developed under the Communist Academy. These include calculating machines, ice hockey, guerrilla warfare, cobblestone streets, and the bicycle.
Do they actually think anyone would believe that?
Here's another quote. Only in communistic theaters is Shakespeare performed as he was intended to be performed.
Oh. Come in, Mr. Shukov. We were just reading about some of the inventions which were inspired by communism.
It's rather ridiculous, isn't it?
Oh, Mr. Shukov, that's a strange thing for you to say.
Not so strange. Being careful is a waste of time. You see, some days ago I had several long talks with Mr. Reed. He knows how I feel about this sacrilege.
Then you don't follow this line?
No, I never have. But it was necessary to appear to be doing so in order to survive.
Still, it isn't wise to air these opinions so freely.
What difference does it make? The communists have altered the laws of nature to suit themselves. They have made a mockery of history. What good is accomplished when one must go through life wearing blinders, seeing only half-truths?
Mr. Reed felt that way, too.
Yes. But he won't have to cope with the evils of communism anymore.
Why not?
He's insane.
You have just heard what happens to a cultural institution under a communist regime. You have just heard how facts can be altered to suit the purpose of the party in power. You think this could not happen? It did happen. It did happen in the communist-dominated country of Russia. It did happen in the Lenin Museum in Moscow. In this museum, in order to hide true facts, the communists destroyed and counterfeited all material unfavorable to their regime. You have been listening to If Freedom Failed, starring Gregory Peck as Charles Reed in A Matter of Fact, with Raymond Burr featured as Davis. This program has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. If Freedom Fails. We'd like to take you on a visit to a town that doesn't exist. A town we call Springfield, USA. We'd like to show you how things would be in any American town if communism took over. This is the story of what would happen to the little fellow, the average citizen like you and the man next door. Sapphire Anniversary.
Kate. Kate, no, don't move. Don't move a muscle.
Morning, Dan. Nice day, isn't it?
Kate, I said don't move.
I've got to unless you want burned toast for breakfast.
Kate, standing by the window with the sun in your hair, making it like silver. Well, it was downright beautiful, and I...
Full of old springtime blarney, aren't you? Ought to be ashamed a man is almost 70 acting like a kid.
Well, maybe I feel like a kid. It's likely when a man's got a wife who looks prettier than the day he married her 45 years ago, come a week from Tuesday.
No.
A talented woman who makes the best popovers this side of the Rockies.
So that's it. I didn't taper off on the poetry because there wasn't enough flour for popovers this morning. You'll have to settle for eggs and plain old toast. Go on, sit down.
Okay. But I meant what I said. I can prove it. I remembered her anniversary. Oh, say, how's the coffee supply holding out?
Yes, we can manage a second cup for you this morning.
No, thanks. Better save it for George Morrow. He'll be along soon. Hey, that venison George gave us, how much have we got left?
Enough for a couple of weeks.
Good. You think we could feed 3 or 4 extra for one meal on a certain day come a week from Tuesday?
We'll manage it. I'll be very careful. Even if we have to eat a little less afterwards.
It'll be worth it.
Yes. We'll write John. See if we can bring Viola and little Johnny for the day.
You think we can feed George, too?
I think so.
Oh. Is that you, George?
Nobody else.
Well, come on in. Come in.
Yeah. Looks like I might be in time for a cup of coffee,
There
huh?
you are. What you got in that sack?
Flour. It's for you. Don't ask me where I got it.
Oh, George, that's wonderful.
I always thought Santa Claus was an old fellow with white whiskers, but you shaved this morning.
George Murray, you can use that flour as much as we can.
Yeah, but you can't make popovers with it.
Turnabout fair play. Give me half a dozen eggs every couple of weeks. Besides, we all got to stick together these days. If we don't, we're just as good as dead.
George, what a way to talk.
What other way is there? Say, did you hear about Joe Hawkins?
Well, I know he went to Springfield 3 weeks ago. Is he back?
No, never will be. He died in Springfield. Auto accident, they say. But, I figured that he was murdered.
Why, who murdered Joe? Everybody liked him.
Oh, does a man walk off and leave the best 1,000 acres of farm in the state, stocked and equipped and unattended, all ready for the commies to move in and turn it into one of those what do you call them now? Oh, yes, state farms?
Maybe it was an accident, George.
Not when Conway takes it over the day before.
I don't want to talk about it. I won't believe it's as bad as George keeps saying.
Oh, now, there's no need to get worked up, Kate. I was just passing on the news.
With your own pessimistic slant. Everybody knows it's too bad the commies got control of the country. So far, they haven't touched anyone but the big people like senators and governors and judges.
Oh, they'll get around to everybody in due time.
Well, you make it sound horrible, like they were out to kill everyone.
Well, it is horrible, I know.
Well, maybe. But what about John? He works for them in Springfield and manages to stay happy and raise his family.
Family? Well, maybe that's the reason.
Where's Blackie? He's waiting for his morning handout, Dan. There's no sugar there. You can get him a carrot, or you'll find turnips in the bin.
There you are, Blackie, old boy. Chomp it down. Okay, now go on back to the field. I'll be out soon.
Oh, I get it. You think it's time we got to work, huh?
Now, don't overdo, will you, Dan?
Blackie won't let me. I don't run this place. He does. Tells me when to go to work and when to kid. Well, be sure and turn on the radio, Kate. Catch the news for me.
George Morrow, I could break your neck. I could almost tell you to get out and take your flower with you.
What'd I do?
What'd you do? Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. You just changed Dan from a happy, young-hearted man into a heavy-footed old man. Aged him 20 years in just about 2 minutes.
But I don't get it. Dan's old enough to know the score. All his life he's kept up on things. Why, you ought to hear what I heard on the radio this morning. Maybe you can if we missed part of the 9 o'clock news, but turn it on anyhow.
Dan asked me to listen to it.
Well, there ought to be enough news left to give you one yet for it.
Immediate effect, and all farmers are cautioned to familiarize themselves with the new regulations. Comrade Kalinsky said that the unfilled quotas for grain, dairy products, and meats were due to a holdover of wasteful and inefficient capitalistic methods of agriculture. Collectivism and state-operated farms will be increased rapidly, with the prime objective, the elimination of the shameful kulak class. Arthur Nesbitt speaking. This is the People's News Service.
You see, that's only a sample. First part of it was all about another purge of reactionaries for the greater glory of the state.
George, I don't care. Dan isn't going to be touched by it, and neither am I.
Well, now, you can't isolate a man like Dan. It'd be like trying to keep Blackie in a 3x5 corral. Dan likes to know what's going on.
There must be some way. There has to be.
Kate, what are you trying to do there? Trying to wreck it?
There. Looks fine, don't it? Looks the same as before. Except when you turn it on, nothing happens. Nothing.
And that's what Blackie did. Kate, that horse is practically human. Next to you, he's the most important member of this household. He's a friend. He's as good a friend as George Morrow.
Well, he's cheered you up. I'm thankful for that. Speaking of George, Dan, you mustn't take everything he says seriously. He always is looking on the dark side of everything.
Let's forget it for now. Did you catch the news for me?
I tried, but radio's gone dead.
Dead? Well, let me have a look at it. Well, it looks all right. The wires are okay. Oh, here's the trouble, I think. Yup, the power tube is missing. Now, who do you suppose took that tube?
Well, it was burned out. I hope you remember the size, because I guess I got disgusted and just threw it away.
And here we are, miles and miles from town, no way of knowing what goes on. And Blackie and I better get up early tomorrow and ride into Springfield.
50 miles for that? Oh, well, why don't you wait till somebody with a car goes in?
No, I've got it. I have to write to John and get the letter down to the crossroads before night. He can bring a tube along when he comes.
Dear John, I hope this finds you, Viola, and Johnny happy and in good health. You'll have to excuse me for not writing sooner, but since the state suspended our insurance payments, the past few months have been very rough. We've had a big readjustment to make, but I'm glad to say we've made it. I guess you'd call it a shaky sort of economy, since it depends on the strength and intelligence of an animal, but when you figure this animal is a certain horse named Blackie, then it doesn't seem so risky.
It sounds a little frightening to me, John. You mean they actually depend on that horse?
Well, honey, there's no choice for Dad. He and Mom have to grow their own food, otherwise they wouldn't eat. Dad's not strong enough for heavy work like plowing and cultivating and hauling, but Blackie is. That's the economy he's talking about.
Still frightens me. Go on, read the rest of it.
A week from Tuesday, your mother and I celebrate 45 years of marriage. Our sapphire anniversary. While we don't expect you to bring us a pocket full of star sapphires, we would like you, Viola, and Johnny for the day. The country air will do you all good, and it'll mean everything to us to have the family gathered around the same table once more. When you come, please bring along a power tube for the old radio. We need it desperately because radios are only contact with the outside world. Unless you count the news that filters fourth hand through George Morrow. Thank you, and don't disappoint us. Love, Dad. Well, Vi, this time we won't disappoint him. I worked right through the last 2 weekends, finishing those new traffic schedules, and the boss is pleased enough to let me have a free day.
Well, it's sweet of Dan to ask, but Johnny and I can't go.
Can't go? Why not?
Because next Tuesday, Johnny's been invited to join the youth group. That great new organization that replaced that capitalistic Boy Scouts, with all the softness and decadence of scouting eliminated, of course. And Johnny had better be there on time, together with one of his parents. On time so they can start taking all the humanity out of him.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to wonder about parents who are two-faced enough to give lip service to one thing and preach another.
Oh, now, honey, look, there's nothing disgraceful or two-faced in teaching him enough deception to stay alive. We can give him ideals to keep silently in front of himself. So if the chance ever comes, he'll want to free himself.
Well, I guess so. I hope so. But in the meantime, instead of being out in the country with his grandfather, he'll be here with...
Look, Vi, honey, if it'll help any, I'll write Dad and arrange a later date for us all. And I'll go with you to this youth group business. We'll get it over.
No. I can manage it. I'm sorry I spilled over.
Oh. Why shouldn't you? Have to once in a while.
John, I want you to go to Kate and Dan. It's their anniversary, and one of us really ought to be there.
Now, but my place is here with you.
Yes, but they're getting older, and who knows, this may be your last chance to see them. Later, if we're lucky, all three of us can go and have a holiday in the country.
Yeah. We're lucky.
You write Dan tonight. Tell him you'll be there.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, that radio tube he wants, I'm a little worried about that. Remember the time we had getting a couple of tubes for our radio? You'd think they were solid gold.
Well, at least give it a try. That is, if you won't get in trouble.
Comrade Ward, if it's too much to ask, just forget.
You say a radio is a necessity for these parents of yours, Comrade Proctor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You see, they live 50 miles from town, up near the foothills. They're old, but no car, of course. And the radio is their only means of knowing what goes on.
And this particular radio uses a number 6X 5G power tube.
Mm-hmm.
What is your father's occupation, Comrade?
Oh, I guess you'd say he was retired. He used to be a logger.
Retired? I'm afraid that'll go against him on the application. He has no work of any kind at the present time.
Well, he does farm his place.
His place. He farms it. I suppose you fill out this form and we'll send it through. Be sure to identify him as a farmer and answer all the questions.
Yes. How long do you think it'll take before he can get the tube?
Comrade Proctor, I can give absolutely no assurances as to that. Your request may or may not be approved. However, we should know that within a couple of days. A couple of days only because of your good record with the traffic bureau, you understand?
Oh, yes, comrade. And I'm grateful to you.
I've checked these applications, Harry, and they seem regular enough. We can send them on.
How many times do I have to tell you not to call me Harry around the office? It's Comrade Hollenbeck. And don't forget it.
All right, Harry. All right.
Not so fast. Where do you think you're going with those?
Just send them on, like I said.
No, you don't. You let one by last week that never should have passed. And I had the boss on my neck yesterday. You just stand there while I take a look.
Stand? Well, can I sit, comrade?
Oh, the boss will be here any minute. You stand. And show the proper respectful attitude, too. This one's in order. Yes, and this. Say, what's this?
What? Which one?
This one, knothead. A farmer landowner?
Oh, that. Well, what's wrong with it? The guy only wants a radio tube.
Only a radio tube. You missed the point completely. He's a kulak. I've told you at least 100 times. Information given by kulaks goes on 496. And you send that on to Comrade Malenkoff's office.
And I'm supposed to guess these things?
Oh, sometimes I marvel at your stupidity. Sometimes I wonder why I don't get rid of you.
You want me to tell you, comrade?
No, shut up. Listen, I don't propose to get in trouble on account of you. So you just watch your step. Or your number 96 may end up on Malenkoff's desk.
You are listening to Sapphire Anniversary, a story of the way things could be if communism took over. A picture of what life would be like under a communist regime in an ordinary American town. A town we call Springfield, USA.
What are these, Conrad?
More 96s ready to be processed.
Dirty Kulak property owners, huh? They'll be processed, all right. Dan Proctor, age 68. Occupation farmer. Owner 5 acres arable land, 5-room cottage furnished. 12-year-old black stallion, 10 chickens. No listing of property in Ministry of Agriculture tax records.
Impose non-production and Kulak penalties. Quadruple tax. Call to the immediate attention of the Office of District Commissar Conway.
Oh, if there's John with me looking this way, answer it, Dan. Give me a second to powder my nose.
Well, hello, folks.
Oh, George.
Hey, something smells pretty fine in here.
Put your powder puff away, Kate. It's only George. Oh, pardon me. Oh, it's George in a bottle of something.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, Kate.
Oh,
you see, I was poking around the cupboard, you see, at my place, and I found this. You know, kind of thought it might, I thought it might make me a hug, eh, Kate?
Not only a hug, but a kiss.
Now, break it up. Now, break it up. Now. Say, will you look at this wine? It's from France, yeah, right here, vintage 1935. George, you're a man of iron nerves. How did you manage to keep from touching it all these years?
Why, I'm as a weak will as next fellow, you know. Just didn't know it was there, that fellow.
Well, George, what's new? You've been to town lately?
Oh, haven't been to the city. The farther I keep away and stay, the better I like it. You know, I was down to the Crossroads post office just yesterday. And the news is all very bad. Conway's turned into a 2-bit dictator in the best Joe
If
Stalin
the
tradition.
news is bad, we don't want to hear it. Not today.
Oh, yes, that's right. Say, is there anything I can do to help, Kate?
Not a thing. The two of you go on into the living room. You keep an eye out for John. Let me know when you see him coming.
All right, Kate. If you need anything, call me.
Seems like old times, all buzzing around here in the kitchen.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of old times, do you remember how to carve a roast?
Why, sure I do. Let me see now. You cut with a grain of the meat.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't sound right now, does it? Let me see now. You cut across. Why, Dan, I don't rightly know.
I guess it doesn't matter. Probably John won't know the difference anyhow.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, somebody's coming. Looks like a state car. Oh. It's John. Kate, he's here. Reach for that powder puff.
Hello, Dad. Oh, boy, are you a welcome sight.
Welcome home, Johnny. Welcome home.
Dad, and George. It's great to see you looking so well.
Yeah, that goes double for me, too.
Johnny!
Oh, Mom.
Come here this minute and give me a kiss.
Mom, sugar and spice and everything.
I hope so. This came from the kitchen. Well, Johnny, where's Viola? Where's little Johnny?
Well, they couldn't make it this time, Mom.
Oh, that's too bad. I've been looking forward to having them. Oh, but thank heaven you're here. You know, Johnny, for once I've timed a dinner right. I can sit down with the rest of you for a minute. And in the living room, no less. Come on.
Tell me, how's family, John?
All in good health, George. I'm sorry they couldn't be here, but Johnny was scheduled to join a boys' club.
Maybe you can bring him for a couple of days when school's out.
Boys' club? They didn't get little Johnny in that commie youth group.
I'm afraid so. Seems to be no way out of it.
George, nothing unpleasant today, please.
Okay, now I'm sorry.
Hey, I guess I almost forgot to say happy anniversary, you two. I hope Vi and I look as well and happy as you two after we've been married 45 years.
Your mother is one in a million, Johnny. Well, look, just look at her now. Look at her. I swear she gets younger every year. Yes, you does. Yes, you do. And today she looks just like a bride.
Come on, let's go in the kitchen. Sit down.
Oh, Dad, I brought that power tube you wanted here.
Oh, thanks, John. I really appreciate it.
A little thing like that, you'd be amazed at the red tape involved. Forms, requisitions, applications.
Oh.
I think sometimes I spend half my life filling them out.
That's accepted commie technique.
Kate, the table looks wonderful.
Dan, will you ask some blessing?
I certainly will. Father, we thank thee for this evidence of thy bounty. We thank thee for 45 years of happiness. For our son John, our friend George, protect and care for Viola and little Johnny. Amen.
Amen.
Now, well, who do you suppose that could be just when we're ready to eat?
Better answer it, Dan.
Yes. You weren't expecting anyone else, were you?
No. Well, you better start eating before it gets cold.
I didn't have anybody drive in, but I guess you can out here in the kitchen.
Well, start in, please. Your dinner's going to be ruined. Wonder why Dan's taking so long.
The rest of the family's out here at the table. Come on, say hello. Kate, here's Paul Conway and Mr. Headley, his assistant. We've met before.
Good afternoon, Mr. Conway. Mr. Headley?
Good afternoon, Citizeness Proctor.
This is George Morrow. This is my son, John.
Oh, yes. The driver of the state car from the Traffic Bureau.
Yes. I work in Springfield.
Well, won't you both have some dinner? There's enough for two more.
So I noticed. It looks very good. Surprisingly good. But we're here in a matter of business. Your taxes. In accordance with the new directive.
Oh, so that's all. We have that saved, haven't we, Kate?
All $30.
It happens to be considerably more. Your land tax has been increased to $120, due and payable now.
$120? That can't be. It can't be.
Plus the quotas you evaded the past quarter, since they were put into operation by the Ministry of Agriculture. Read the listing, Comrade Headley.
Ministry quotas required and not met. 12 dozen eggs, half the produce of the vegetable plot, 500 pounds of hay, 60 gallons of milk. Penalties for non-production, $400. Rental of state land, $200. Current taxes, $120. Total, $720.
$720? Conway, it's impossible. You must know that I have no...
Comrade, as a worker in the traffic office, I understand these matters. Seems to me you've confused my parents with someone else. They have very little, barely enough to keep themselves alive.
These are the facts, as listed by the office in Springfield. Give me that paper, Headley, Form 96.
Yes. Here you are, Comrade.
Yes. Name, Dan Proctor. Occupation, farmer. Owner of 5 acres arable land, 5-room cottage furnished, 12-year-old black stallion, 10 chickens. No listing of property in Ministry of Agriculture tax records.
Wait, those facts. The exact wording I used. Look, Comrade Headley, how did this investigation start?
This crime of tax evasion was discovered with his application for a radio tube.
Crime? To want to repair a radio? Is that another new directive, Comrade?
Yes, sir, the radio tube that started it.
Comrade Proctor, the $720 is due now. Either you pay or face the consequences of default. Which is it, Comrade?
I told you. I've got $30.
Very well, you won't pay. In that case, we'll be forced to confiscate item 3 on your property listing, the 12-year-old black stallion.
But, Comrade, it's not worth $700.
We'll take the horse.
No, not Blackie. You don't touch him. You hear? Without the horse, we're through. We can't till our land. There'll be nothing to eat, surely. You can see that. And besides, Blackie's like one of the family.
I have no choice in the matter. I am a servant of the state. As such, I'm here to discharge a duty delegated to me by the state.
But you don't have to condemn them to death. They can't get along without the horse.
These people may be your parents, but from the viewpoint of the state,
They are capitalist landowners of the kulak class. They have no legal standing.
Conway, as a worker for the state,
We're all workers for the state. Or should be. Headley, go get that horse.
Yes, comrade.
No, you don't. You'll have to kill me first.
Stand aside, Citizen Proctor.
Get your paws off that.
I warn you, Proctor, interfering with an official is a crime against the state.
All right, I'm a criminal.
Go ahead, Comrade Headley. Get the horse. The rest of you will all be held as witnesses. Proctor assaulted an agent of the state. Comrade John Proctor, you will testify that the seizure of the horse is legal. Otherwise, your official career may be interrupted.
Johnny, get some water. Cold water.
Yes,
Dan, your head's cut.
Here, I'll hold him.
A little cold water, all right.
Where is he? Blackie, help me up. The other one, Headley. He's after Blackie. Johnny, you've got to stop
No
him.
one leaves. You'll all stay in this room.
Johnny?
There's nothing I can do, Dad.
Well, then I can.
Dan, wait!
Proctor, stop! Stop where you are. I'll shoot the first one who steps off this porch.
Conway, please, I want you to listen to me.
Hold it!
Conway, put yourself in my place. Maybe then you'll see.
Have you a pet, Mr. Conway, a dog or a cat you're fond of?
Yes, a pet. You see, we love Blackie that way, only more so. He's part of us. He's part of the family.
Dan, just take him back here. Oh, please, Mr. Conway, please.
Conway, you can't.
Stay where you are, Proctor.
No. Look at it this way, Conway. I'm not strong. I can't make a living without that horse. Conway, even you communists use the term comrade. As a comrade, you can't deprive me of my life. Conway, we're two human beings. We can live together as brothers. We each have our rights.
There is only one human right. The privilege of serving the state.
Thanks to you, comrade. We won't be serving for long.
You have just heard a story of what happens to the little fellow under a communist regime. You have just heard what would happen to any American family if communism took over. You think this could not happen? It did happen in the town of Salsk in Russia. It did happen to the family of a farmer named Vasya Golovachy. Because of non-payment of taxes, the communists took from the Golovachys the one thing that kept them alive, their cow, and thereby condemned them to death. You've been listening to If Freedom Failed, starring John Daner and Peggy Weber as Dan and Kate Proctor in Sapphire Anniversary. Music was composed by Earl Lawrence, with musical direction by Michelle Perrier. Sapphire Anniversary was written for If Freedom Failed by William Tunberg, produced and directed by Robert M. Young. Sergeant Lloyd Iyer speaking. This program has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. freedom failed. We'd like to take you on a visit to a town that doesn't exist. A town we call Springfield, USA. We'd like to show you how things would be in any American town if communism took over. This is the story of a man who betrayed his country because he refused to believe the truth, refused to believe even the things that he saw for himself. J. Carrol Naish stars as Thomas Custer in the story called The Traitor.
Tom, what time is it?
11:05.
Are they all in the church yet?
A few stragglers still. A couple of officers standing outside. I don't know whether they're going in or not.
Well, we'll wait until they start. Is everything set?
Yes, I know my job.
Now, take it easy.
Sorry.
It'll all be over in another few minutes. Well, they're sure giving the old general a fine funeral. That's a shame to spoil the show.
George, do you think we're doing the right thing?
Getting cold feet?
No, just doubts.
We have our orders.
I know, but...
This is the biggest thing we've done yet. All the opposition is across the street there. The army officers, the political leaders, Congressman Phillips, all of them.
And some others besides.
None of our people. We gave them all a warning to stay away.
But there are some who aren't on either side.
Tom, I know that some innocent people are going to be hurt or killed when I press this plunger. You think I'd do it if I didn't believe it was right?
No, I guess not.
It has to be done. Get rid of the opposition and we take over. We'll blame the whole thing on the reactionaries, the isolationists, the fascist police. And the people will believe us. Besides, you and I know that it's for their own good. That's what makes this right.
I wanted to hear you say that, George. That's the only thing that does make this right. It's for their own good. And for the good of the whole country.
What time is it now?
11:10. They're just closing the doors.
Did those officers go inside?
Yes, there's no one around.
Well, as soon as I set off the charge, we'll go out the back way, split up, and meet back at headquarters. Our alibi is all set in case someone suspects us. Are you ready?
Ready.
And here she goes.
I now declare the fifth session of the Central Committee of the Midwestern People's Territory of the United Soviets of America to be open. Deputy Prime Minister Comrade Costa will give the opening report.
Thank you. I should say before reading this that it covers only the last 12 months. As all of you know, in the 25 years since the bombing of the Springfield Community Church, which was really the beginning of our success, in these 25 years, we have made great strides in the communist cause. Now for the report. All non-communist political parties have been disbanded during this period, and all non-communist papers suppressed. Nicholas Peterson, the leader of the opposition in the Territorial Soviet Senate, was hanged in September. In order to further our ideals of communism for the good of the people, it is strongly urged that immediate action be taken against the remaining opposition in the church. Further, it is recommended that some measures be taken to restore Midwestern economy, which has shown a decided tendency toward disruption despite our attention. That concludes the report.
Any questions?
Was a copy of that sent to the Central Committee in Washington?
Yes, of course.
Do you think that was wise?
What do you mean, Cole?
Well, the part about the church was all right, and what came before, but those last points seem to me to be an admission that we're not doing our job. With all apologies to Coster, he's an economist. That's something he knows about. But do you think we ought to let them know about it?
He has a point there. Who do you mean by them, Cole? The Central Committee?
You know very well who I mean.
What do you say, Coster, about all this?
Gentlemen, the 7 of us here in this room now control this whole territory. We are doing what our philosophy has taught us to do.
adapting that philosophy right down the line to the problems at hand. Our teachers, Marx and Lenin, have shown us.
And Stalin.
Oh, yes, of course. They have shown us the road to follow. Now we must show our fellow Americans. It is our duty.
Tom, you said the report had gone in just as you read it?
Yes.
Very well, then there's not much point in discussing that angle. Cole, have you done anything on the suppression of the religious organizations?
Yes, I have. Do you want a report?
Please.
I've drawn up several resolutions to be passed on to the Senate. Now, I believe that they will... Why, what they give me, gentlemen...
Who are you? What's the meaning of coming in here?
Oh, Judge Damon, I recognize you from your pictures. You do not recognize me, though, huh? The name is Borka. Alexander Borka.
Oh, Borka, of course. I read about your activities in Europe.
You have credentials, Comrade Borka?
Yes, I have them. You're wise to be cautious, Mr. Damon. Here they are. Look them over, and I'll meet the others here.
Look, Tom, they're signed by the Politburo itself.
Well, you know who he is, don't you?
Yes, by reputation. I never expected to meet him.
I wonder why we had no warning.
We'll find out soon enough.
Now then, if you're satisfied that I am indeed who I say I am, we'll get to work. Please sit down, gentlemen. Now then, let me say first that I bring personal commendations from our great leader to all of you for the fine work you have done in this territory. Under your leadership and inspired by your example, thousands of party members have been educated into absolute loyalty to the party. But that is not the only reason I am here. I have a copy of your last report, Comrade Custer.
Yes?
You prepared this?
Yes, I did.
You will explain it, then, please.
Well, as we said there, all political parties and newspapers have been...
That I have read myself. You will explain only the recommendations.
We recommend that some measures be taken to assist us with our program here, with the dissolution of the church and with readjusting our economy.
Enough. Comrade Custer and the rest of you, too. Do you realize what you have done? You have made recommendations to us. Quiet. No one does such a thing. It is disgraceful. Now you leave, please, comrades, to think this over. Except you, Comrade Damon and Comrade Custer. I have some further instructions for you. It is the feeling in the Politburo that while you have made a terrible error, you are both the loved and respected leaders of the party here in this territory. Therefore, we are inclined to forgive this indiscretion for the time being. I repeat, for the time being. I'll remain here and see to it that nothing like this occurs again.
Mr. Borka.
Yes?
Tom and I have been loyal Soviet Americans for 25 years.
I know that.
We've worked for communism because we believed in it. Things that we've done, many of them on orders from your country, we did because we were told that they were right. Right for our country. These recommendations were made for the same reason.
For a communist of 25 years, you show a remarkable lack of indoctrination to our policy, Comrade Damon. In your last pretty little speech, you made two bad mistakes. First of all, your nationalist spirit is deplorable. Nationalism is the prerogative of the one and only leading power of the world, Soviet Union. Your country is the Soviet Union. And secondly, you will receive complete guidance from the Kremlin. They will not tolerate the slightest sign of independent action or independent thinking, even among the most loyal communist leader in the Soviet satellite states. Is that clear?
Yes, Mr. Borka. Quite clear.
I'm very sorry that our first meeting had to be on such difficult matters, Damon. I have respected your work and your leadership for many years. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
I'm certain we'll get along very well from now on. It's much better to clear the air this way so that we can join together in a friendly atmosphere.
Of course.
Now, would you excuse us, please, if I talk to Costa alone?
Very well. I'll wait for you.
All right, George.
Damon seems to have changed, don't you think?
How do you mean?
I remember one statement he made some years ago. He said, all communist parties form one single communist front under the direction of the Soviet Union. Now he seems to have forgotten his own words. Ah, well, no matter. Now, Costa, let's get down to work. First of all, the Politburo quite agrees with your thoughts concerning the church.
They're certainly consistent with Marx and Lenin.
You were wrong to make the recommendations, of course. But nevertheless, here are the laws to be enacted to correct this corruptive influence of religious bodies. Here you are.
A law guaranteeing the freedom of religion. Article 1. All churches, mosques, synagogues, and other religious bodies of this territory, as well as all clergy and ecclesiastic officials, are remanded under state control. 2. The state assumes power to alter or suppress all church statutes, regulations, administrative rules, and so forth. 3. The state has the power to appoint, dismiss, and remove from their posts all clergy and all church officials.
I think you have the general idea. You will submit this to the Senate and carry through after this passed. Naturally, we'll expect a unanimous vote.
But why me?
Why, you? The answer should be obvious. You are now the top man in this territory. Respected, admired, loved by the working class.
Yes, but I'm only the vice premier. How about Premier Damon? Why doesn't he present this?
Comrade Damon? I believe we need to re-educate him. Too nationalistic, too unreliable. He'll leave tomorrow for Moscow. Here are your orders for the eliminating of all unions, Premier Custer. You'll put them into effect at once. It is essential that we expand the territorial police force, Comrade Custer. You will transfer half the funds of the Education Ministry to the Police Ministry. Here is a list of party members to be purged. You will see to it that they are expelled and deprived of civil rights. All equipment from the Springfield rolling mills is to be transferred to Russia. You will order it at once.
No.
What did you say?
You can't be serious about this.
I am always serious.
But half the workers of Springfield are employed at the rolling mills. The whole economy of this territory is based on its production.
I'm aware of that.
If you remove this industry, you'll throw the entire population into chaos through unemployment.
It shouldn't be necessary for me to point out, Premier Custer, that this is an order from the Kremlin.
But it's ridiculous.
Custer, watch what you're saying.
What possible reason could they have for...
It is not up to you to ask for reasons.
But I'm an economist. I know exactly what a thing like this will do to our country.
Our country is the Soviet Union. They need the machinery. Very well. They will get it. Also, as a good revolutionary, you should know that our society prospers in the middle of unemployment and chaos. If you need reasons, there they are. Now, if you'll sign this order.
No, I will not.
It seemed that I was as wrong about you as about Damon. Or had you forgotten about him?
No, I haven't forgotten how you sent George to Moscow. How he was reported to be a very sick man. So sick that he died shortly after he got there.
Exactly.
Suddenly, in the last few minutes, I've remembered a lot of things. Things I thought I had pushed out of my mind because I believed in what I was doing. I believed it was right for my country.
Your country is
Yes, of course. My country is the Soviet Union. How many times have you told me that, and I didn't pay any attention to it because, well, I thought, he's a Russian and I'm an American, but we both have the same communist ideals. He's entitled to love his country, and I have the same rights. But now, for the first time, I see that isn't true. I see how blind I've been for 25 years. Blind to everything that was going on around me.
This is treason that you're talking
about. Oh, no. Don't try to tell me what treason is. I have been a traitor to my country. Yes, my country. A traitor since I first took out a Communist Party card. And for the first time in my life, let me be a patriot. Let me stand here and tell you that I know you and the bosses in the Kremlin for what you are. You don't want anything but Russian colonies. A whole world of them, ruled by Soviet marshals like you. Yes, that's right. Press your buzzer, pound the buttons in front of you, and get your police in here. You have a perfect case against me. A man willing to cry out to the world about what a Frankenstein he's created. A blind man who's suddenly been given the power to see.
Premier Custer is under arrest. Take him away. The Premier? You will hold him in isolation. I'll arrange the details later.
Yes, I'm sure you will, Comrade Walker.
Now, don't give us any trouble, Mr. Custer.
Oh, I wouldn't think of it. I know what happens to anyone who resists arrest.
Come along.
Oh, one last question, if you please. Comrade Walker, you have succeeded in eliminating me. But how long do you think you can last?
Take him away.
Justice Department, Burns speaking.
Hello, Burns. This is Alexander Borka.
Yes, Comrade Borka.
You'll prepare indictment against Premier Costa immediately, charging him
You
with...
say Premier Costa?
Yes, Costa. Can't you hear me?
Yes, sorry.
You will charge him with treason, espionage, and sabotage. Also with nationalistic tendencies and lack of friendship and sincerity towards the Soviet Union. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
I'll give you the details of the trial later. How it is to be conducted and what the verdict will be. That's all.
You are listening to The Traitor, starring J. Carroll Nash. A story of the way things could be if communism took over. A picture of what life would be like under a communist regime in an ordinary American town. A town we call Springfield, USA.
You may leave.
Yes, Mr. Burns.
Costa, are you awake?
Yes?
I have something here for you to sign.
It's Burns, isn't it?
That's right.
Minister of Justice.
I don't have much time.
No, I don't suppose I have much time either.
Will you sign this now?
What is it?
Your confession.
All this? This thick sheaf of papers is my confession?
Yes, that's right.
May I read it?
That won't be necessary.
No, I know it won't be necessary, but it should make interesting reading. Oh, don't worry, I'll sign it. I was questioned once before by other professional inquisitors. That's how I got this broken, twisted back. I'll sign it.
Right here. Here's my pen.
Thank you, Burns. Tell me, when is the trial?
December 7th.
A whole week. Your timetable is working out very well. It's taking you almost 8 months to discredit me with the people.
Well,
yes, I got news even in here. June 14th it was that I was expelled from the Communist Party for... What was it? Oh, yes. Nationalistic policies that deviated from the pro-Soviet line of the Soviet-American regime. And for refusing to admit my error of being anti-Russian, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
You can't keep people from spreading news even in a Russian state. And I marked the dates down like any other prisoner, here on the wall. See that long stretch? That's July 20th, the day I was ousted from the Senate. Then there's October the 9th, when they took away my immunity. And now here. Another big mark for another red-letter day. The day I confessed in... How many words?
What?
Words there in the confession.
It's 30,000.
Oh, that's a nice round figure. 30,000 words of confession, and I haven't even read it.
Mr. Costa, I shouldn't say this, but I want you to know there's nothing personal in all this. It's my job.
Thank you, Burns. I understand.
I just thought if there's anything I could do.
No, there's nothing.
Well, I guess that's all. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, Burns.
Yes?
There is something you could do.
What is it?
They'll let you come back to my cell before I'm executed. Now, I can get some papers, some writing materials, and prepare a statement of everything that's happened. The true story of what this Soviet regime has done and what it will do to our country.
But there's nothing I could do with it. No place to publish it or spread it around.
But there will be. Later on, when the people finally come to their senses. All I want you to do now is to take what I write and hide it someplace. Hide it where Borka and his police will never find it. When the proper time comes, you will know it. And you can bring it out then. Will you do it?
I don't know.
Burns, you're not like these others. You never were a sincere communist. I knew that. I even tried to have you purged at one time.
Yes, I remember.
You've seen the same ugly things about this whole business that I didn't see until it was too late, right?
Yes, that's right.
Then say you'll do it. Not for me, not even for yourself, but for our country. It may help sometime in the future.
All right, I'll do it. I'll come back.
I declare this Soviet court now in session. Thomas Koster, you will please stand. Step forward to the bench. Thomas Koster, you are charged with treason, espionage, nationalistic tendencies, sabotage, lack of friendship and sincerity towards the Soviet Union. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Quiet, please. This court is inclined to agree with the expression of the people, but in the interest of expediting this trial, we request no further exhibitions. Now, Thomas Koster, I have before me your full confession to these acts. What do you have to say to that?
They are not true.
If it please the court... Dr. Dyckman, you're the counsel for defense?
Yes, Your Honor. I should like to ask for a recess.
I have never been a police agent or an imperialist spy.
Be quiet, Koster. I'll handle this. I should like to ask for a recess to acquaint the defendant with the items in his confession.
The court will recess for 20 minutes.
Come along, Koster. We'll go to the judge's chambers.
Now then, what is the meaning of all that?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but the defendant...
Koster, I thought you'd been rehearsed for your part in this trial. You signed the confession?
I've lied enough. From now on, I'll tell the truth.
You tell the truth? To whom? Don't you realize that we have 50 witnesses ready to testify against you?
Your Honor, I was informed when they assigned me to this case that...
Keep out of this thing. We've got to get this thing straightened out right now. Koster, when we go back in that courtroom, I want you to plead guilty just as you were instructed.
No, I won't do it.
Very well. Dr. Dyckman.
Yes, Your Honor.
When we reconvene, I will call on you for the opening statement and you will address the court. This trial is again in session. The People's Court will hear the counsel for defense, Dr. Dyckman.
Your Honor, members of the court, I have discussed the charges with the defendant, charges of great magnitude against which there is no defense. These charges have been proved, and the defendant confessed to the truth. Now he chooses to make a mockery of this court by denying them. I have no recourse except to state that as defense counsel, I must assist the prosecution to find objective truth. I apologize for serving in Koster's behalf. In a socialist state, there is no division of duty between the judge, the prosecutor, and the defense counsel. Only if Koster repents will I ask for mercy. If he does not, I ask that the maximum penalty be exacted.
Thank you, Dr. Dyckman. Thomas Koster, do you wish to change your plea?
No, I am not guilty. I have not done the things with which I am charged. It is a pack of lies. Lies. Lies that were prepared under the shadow of a red flag 5,000 miles away. I am guilty only of being blind. Only of helping a cruel machine to gain control of our hearts and minds and finally our country.
Thomas Koster, the People's Court of the United Soviets of America finds you guilty as charged. You'll be taken from this place and within 48 hours hanged from the neck until you're dead. Case dismissed.
And so this true story ends, or will end within a few minutes. To you who read my words, I ask that you remember me. Hate me if you will. I deserve your hatred for what I did. But learn my lesson, too. Open your eyes and your minds. Fill them with the truth. For that is the one and only thing that the enemy cannot destroy.
Guards, stand outside. The committee's coming right in.
Yes, Mr. Burke.
Right behind me, Mr. Koster. You finished?
Yes, quick. Take it.
Here. Get out of my coat.
Thank you.
And, Comrade Coster, I've already notified the papers that you made a groveling plea for mercy in the full confession. We explained your defiant attitude in court is due to nervous agitation and the unhealthy ambition of an intellectual.
Ah, Mr. Burns, you have perceived us.
Yes, sir. I was just telling Coster.
Yes, I heard you. May I commend you on your announcement. I particularly like the part about when Coster here admitted that the sentence was just. Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
And now, Comrade Coster, if you are ready.
Quite ready.
Good. I see that you're not going to give it the same difficulty we had in court.
I am ready.
Take him away.
Yes, sir. What? Punch!
It's a great day for me, Comrade Burns. There goes the last of the trollmakers. Now our own men. Men trained in Moscow are in the key positions. We have no more difficulties with enforcing our regulations.
Yes, sir.
It's a shame about Costa. If only he had followed orders, he might be dying for a cause instead of for nothing. He might have left something behind.
Yes, Comrade Borka. Yes, indeed. He might have left something behind.
You have just heard what happens to justice when communism gains control of a country. You have heard what happens when the rights of the individual are trampled under a communist machine. Do you think this could not happen? It did happen exactly as we told it. The whole story took place in Bulgaria. Thomas Koster was Traiko Kosta. He was a slave of communist ideology, but he refused to make his country a colony of Soviet Russia. Yes, this is the true story of Traiko Kosta of Bulgaria. Removed from office, arrested, tried, and hanged within a period of 8 months. You've been listening to If Freedom Fails, starring J. Carroll Nash as Thomas Koster in The Traitor. Frank Richards was Borka, Stacey Harris was Burns, and Doug Young was Damon. Others in the cast were Lamont Johnson, Ralph Mooney, Bill Bissell, Marty Warren, Herb Ellis, and Frank Crystal. Music was composed by Earl Lawrence, with musical direction by Michel Perrier. The Traitor was written for If Freedom Failed by Robert C. Vinson, produced and directed by Will Scott. Sergeant Lloyd Eyre speaking. This program has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. freedom failed. We'd like to take you on a visit to a town that doesn't exist. A town we call Springfield, USA. We'd like to show you how things would be in any American town if communism took over. This is a story about the medical profession, about how hospitals are run under a communist regime. David Bryan stars in Prescription for Murder.
Dr. Brooks' office? Yes. Yes, Mrs. Marlowe. All right, we can give you an appointment at 3:30 next Friday. Yes. Goodbye. Mr. Crane?
Yes?
Dr. Brooks will see you now. The door on the left.
Thank you.
Dr. Brooks?
Well, Mr. Crane. Didn't expect to see you back so soon. How are you feeling?
Lousy.
Oh, come on now. You were coming along nicely the last time you were here. Unbutton your shirt, please.
Still got some pains in my chest. My throat hurts.
Now, breathe deeply. All right. Now, exhale. In again. Let it out. Now, cough. Let me see your tongue. Wider, please. All right.
Well, Doctor?
Well, I can't understand it, Crane. Didn't you take the medicine I prescribed?
No.
What?
I said I didn't take it.
Mr. Crane, I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. Oromycin is the one thing that can help you. You'd have been cured by now.
Dr. Brooks, have you tried to have a prescription filled lately?
I know. I have sample supplies here. Why?
I'm not a member of the Communist Party.
And what difference does that make?
Look, Doctor, we're under a new form of government here in America, communism. It's becoming increasingly difficult for anyone who isn't a communist to get anything. Food, clothing, and medicine.
You mean to tell me they refuse to give you the oromycin that I prescribed?
No. No, not exactly. When I presented a prescription, they asked me for my party card. That's common procedure now, you know. When I told them I wasn't a member, they suddenly discovered they didn't have any oromycin. They gave me these instead.
What are they?
You asking me?
Oh? Would you mind leaving them with me? I'll have them analyzed.
I'm glad to. They're not doing me any good.
But you can't go in there. Dr. Brooks has a patient.
I have no time to wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, Doctor. He wouldn't wait.
That's all right, Kathy. Kathy, do you have a duplicate of the prescription I gave Mr. Crane last week?
Yes, I do, Doctor.
Give him a few capsules from our stock.
Yes, sir.
Crane, check back with me at the end of the week. Kathy will give you an appointment.
Thanks, Doctor.
Mr. Stark, I believe. The police.
That's right. I was in last week.
Yes, I recall. Bronchitis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see your throat. Yeah, that seems perfectly clear. Let's try your pulse.
I think it's all cleared up, Doctor. I feel fine.
Yes, you seem all right. I'm somewhat surprised.
Don't you have faith in your own curative powers, Doctor?
Of course, but without the medicine I prescribed, I don't see how you managed to recover so fully.
What do you mean without the medicine? I took the capsules as you directed.
You mean your prescription was filled?
Of course. I received an ample supply of, whatever you call them.
Oromycin.
Yeah.
Well, that's strange. The man who just left here said he couldn't get any. The supply was gone.
Oh, him. Well, you forget, I'm an officer in the party.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, there are all sorts of advantages to being a party member, Doctor. Now, a famous surgeon like yourself, you could go far.
No, thanks, Mr. Stark. I'm quite contented as I am.
Oh, that's too bad. Then you won't like the news that I bring.
Now what?
As head of the local division of the police, I must tell you that the Ministry of Public Health has asked you to be transferred to Springfield Hospital. We feel that your private practice is not in keeping with our program of controlled medical care.
I am quite familiar with that program, and I am not interested in it. Now, if you don't mind, I have a great many appointments today.
Please report to Dr. Holmes at the hospital on Monday when you begin your work there.
I said I have no desire.
They'll be expecting you.
See that all of your equipment is moved over to the hospital at that time, or it'll be moved for you.
Now, see.
If you don't comply with the report, your license to practice medicine will be revoked, and you may find yourself in grave trouble. Good day, Dr. Brooks.
I'd like to see Dr. Holmes.
Your name, please.
Dr. Brooks. Gilbert Brooks.
Oh, yes, Doctor. Please go right in. He's expecting you.
Dr. Holmes?
Yes, come in.
I'm Dr. Brooks. I understand that I am now on the staff of this hospital.
Oh, yes. You're the one the Ministry of Health recommended. We need good surgeons here. Critical shortage of capable men. Glad you decided to join us.
I didn't decide to join you.
Well, whatever the reason, it no longer matters. Now, I want you to listen to me and understand me. You are no longer in private practice. You are working in a state hospital, and I am the director of the hospital. Your orders will come from me. You will do what I tell you, when I tell you, and how I tell you. Is that clear?
Dr. Holmes, if that's a sample of your attitude, I don't think
Precisely. You don't think. From now on, I shall do your thinking for you. Your days of society medicine are over. From now on, you're working for the people.
May I please know my assignment, Dr. Holmes?
Yes. For the time being, you'll be an advisor on the staff.
Advisor? But I'm a practicing surgeon,
You
Doctor.
may make suggestions which the staff may act on if they desire. You may also give some lectures.
Dr. Holmes, I don't claim to be a great surgeon, but as you well know, I'm the only specialist in my field in this part of the country. There are some cases which not every doctor is capable of handling. I certainly feel I should be given the opportunity
If you wish, you may look through the hospital now. Anything you wish to do or to say, you will clear with me first. Good day.
This is the inpatient waiting room, Doctor. This is where we receive our cases each day. Examining rooms are down the hall there.
I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already visited an inpatient room.
Well, the first one is for members of the party and a few selected officials. There's a list of persons who may be treated through that part of the hospital. I'll see that you get a copy.
Collins, sickness doesn't choose the people it will strike. I see no reason why
I don't make policy in the hospital, Doctor, and incidentally, I strongly suggest that you learn to follow the procedures as they are outlined. I don't think that you can change our whole operating procedure simply because you were privileged to pursue your own practice.
Collins, I'll thank you to remember you're an intern. You're talking to a surgeon.
Now, don't give me that. The idea that doctors and surgeons are gods went out of vogue 10 years ago. Communism has put you in your proper place, and don't you forget it.
You are the material from which the state expects to make a doctor. You haven't as much chance...
Now, don't let that concern you, Doctor. I'll have my MD by the end of this month.
Collins, I'm not as stupid as you think. I happen to know that your medical exam was one of the worst of the lot. You missed more than half the questions, even with the revised test, which any druggist could pass.
Well, now, there's something you don't know. I passed the political education exam without a hitch, and that's what counts. Well, I don't have time to gossip with you. The tour is over. If you have any problems, give me a buzz.
Dr. Brooks.
Kathy, what are you doing here?
Please, let's get out of this hall. I'm not supposed to talk with you.
Yeah, let's step into one of these examining rooms. What's the matter?
Doctor, it's just terrible. I've been assigned to the nursing staff here. I didn't want to come, but they made me.
I'm sorry, Kathy. I know how you feel. I didn't realize how badly a hospital could deteriorate. And all it took was 5 years under the Communist Ministry of Health.
You haven't seen the worst of it. The operating room, it's terrible.
Collins took me through, but there wasn't anything going on.
They operate only 2 days a week, and then they operate all at once.
But that's impossible. They certainly can't put septic and aseptic cases together.
Yes, they do. And the sanitation, it's horrible. I've been here only a week, but it's a nightmare. You'll understand when you begin your work.
I don't know when that'll be. Dr. Holmes tells me I'm to be an advisor and a teacher. I'm getting my instructions this afternoon.
Dr. Brooke, you've met Mr. Collins?
Yes. Yes, I have.
And we'll get down to business. As you know, the medical school is located here in the hospital. That makes it easier for the students to get a close-hand picture of our work. Now, the course takes 18 months.
18 months?
Yes, 18 months. The classes, which you will conduct, begin at 8:30 in the morning till 11. On the 2 days that we operate, they are permitted to watch the operations. So the actual time you'll spend in instruction will be 2.5 hours a day, 3 days a week.
May I ask the exact qualifications for a medical degree and how the tests are conducted?
Mr. Collins, if you please. Well, 20 medical questions are given to students about a week in advance of the tests. We ask them 8 of the questions. The time limit is 15 minutes.
Is that all?
Well, then, of course, there's the political education test, which usually lasts 4 hours.
There's one more thing, Brooke. From time to time, some of the students will miss a few of the medical questions.
Do you mean to tell me that a student receives his test paper a week in advance and still cannot answer 8 questions?
Occasionally it happens. The political education does not leave much time for outside study. In the event a student should miss some of the medical questions, you will wait until the results of the political tests are published.
And then?
If he passes in political education, he will be graduated.
Come in. Kathy, come in.
Dr. Brooke, you must help me.
What is it, Kathy?
This hospital, I can't stand it any longer. Look at me. Look at my uniform.
Why don't you get a clean one?
Every doctor and nurse is entitled to one clean uniform each day. We use the same gowns, the same gloves for all the operations.
Kathy, there's not much I can do. I'd like to help you, but I'm...
Dr. Brooke, Nurse, what are you doing here?
Why,
I sent for Dr. Holmes.
Nurses are not permitted contact with the doctors without express permission of the head nurse.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Brooke, I'm taking you out of the school. You will begin tomorrow to show some of our doctors some of the more advanced technical operations, so they may widen their scope in this field.
How long will this course be?
There won't be any course. You will show them the techniques of various major operations as they come up, and they will handle them after that.
Am I to understand that they are to perform an operation after watching me only once?
That is correct. You will begin tomorrow morning in the operating room at 6 a.m.
I'd like to see the patient first.
That won't be necessary.
Won't be necessary? How do you expect me to operate without examining the patient first? And what is the nature of the operation?
As a matter of fact, I can't tell you that either. I don't know who you'll operate on or for what. Never can tell what will crop up.
But I must know what instruments to order, and I must
be in the operating room tomorrow morning at 6, ready to operate.
They don't bother much with formalities here, do they?
Much worse than you think. But if it's any consolation to you, I'm on duty in the operating room tomorrow. I'll find out what I can about your patient.
Good morning, nurse. Where's Dr. Brooke?
I don't know. He isn't here yet.
No, of course he's not. And his patient's on the last table there.
Nurse!
Yes, doctor?
Order that, please.
Here you are, doctor.
Here's another case. Put him over near the end.
We need more sutures.
There aren't any more sutures. Use something else. Where's Dr. Brooke?
I'm here. Which is my patient?
Here comes another patient. The nurse will help you.
It's a goiter case, the last on the table over there.
Yeah, let's go take a look at her. By the way, are you assigned to me?
I'm assigned to everybody. I'm the only nurse on duty.
One nurse for 5 doctors?
Yes.
Good. And where are my instruments?
All the doctors use the same ones. They're on the table.
Nurse, please.
Coming, doctor. Here's your patient. You'd better get started, doctor. I'll help you all I can.
Good morning. How do you feel?
Not very good, doctor. Will I be all right?
Oh, I think so. Open wide, please. Nurse?
Minute, please. It pains so, doctor. Yes, doctor.
There's no chart for this woman. I'll give you her pulse and respiration. You write it down for me.
I can't do that, doctor. The doctors have to take care of all that. See, here come the other 2 doctors. My hands are full.
I don't believe it. This is a nightmare.
There's oxygen here.
How can they operate on 5 people at one time in one room with one nurse?
Do the best you can. We have 15 more cases to operate on by 1 o'clock.
Nurse, get over here. Get this oxygen going.
Yes, I'm coming. Doctor, I'm scared. What's wrong?
There's nothing to worry about. Here, I'll hold this over your nose. You count till you reach 100.
Oh, doctor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Kathy, quick, give me an intestinal needle.
Doctor, they're all broken.
Broken?
Yes. Dr. Baird tried to use what we had, but they were the wrong kind. He broke them all, trying to force them into the tissue of the patient.
Well, I must have some immediately. Surely there must be some spares.
They only keep enough in the operating room for just one day. I'll try to get some from the storeroom.
Well, hurry.
Dr. Brooke, are you still here?
Well, that's a stupid question, even from you.
Oh, come now. You're overworked. I forgot this is your first day.
Yes, my first day. And what a day.
I've looked over some of the patients you operated on. Not bad work.
Not bad work. It's pure butchery. Look at this man. His stomach is wide open. And we ran out of intestinal needles. I hope the anesthetic hose until we can get some.
Oh, you worry too much. None of the patients we've had are of any importance. I don't even know why we bother with them.
You will lead your lives and practice your art in uprightness and honor.
What's that?
A line from Hippocrates. But I don't suppose you'd remember.
Something seems to be wrong with your patient, Doctor.
Quick, give me one of those needles.
Doctor, we can't get the needles until we fill out this form.
It's all right, Kathy. We don't need them now.
You are listening to Prescription for Murder, starring David Bryan. A story of the way things could be if communism took over. A picture of what life would be like under a communist regime in an ordinary American town. A town we call Springfield, USA.
I don't know what's the matter with him. His name was on the call sheet to operate yesterday, and he didn't come in. I talked to him, and he said he refused to operate.
Refused to operate. Well, see about that.
Yes, Doctor?
Send in Dr. Brooke.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps it will take some time for him to get used to conditions here. Come in, Dr. Brooke.
Good morning.
Now, what seems to be the trouble? I'm told you refused to do any operations yesterday and today.
That is correct. And I intend to do no more until some changes are made.
Put your suggestions in writing. I will consider them, but you must continue to work.
Nobody can order me to commit murder. And to operate under the conditions in your surgical department is pure murder.
You have always had a private practice. You just do not understand the workings of a large hospital.
Who is responsible if an accident occurs and the patient dies?
You are. Do you refuse to cooperate?
Yes. But since this is a communist hospital, let's call a meeting of the whole staff and I'll present my ideas. Then we can decide by vote whether they can be tried out.
We do not call meetings to present wishes or demand changes. We call meetings to decide how we can best obey orders and to criticize our faults. Now, you do as I suggest. Put your ideas in writing and I will consider them. In the meantime...
I hate to break in on you in your home, but I didn't know. Hate to break in on you in your home, but I didn't know what else to do. What else to do.
Get my kit over there on the desk. Let's get your pulse. Get my kit over there on the desk. Let's get your pulse. Crane, what's this all about?
Doc, I've been trying to get to see you for weeks. They wouldn't let me.
Who wouldn't?
Interns at the hospital. I don't have a party card. They said I...
Here you are, Doctor.
Get the thermometer. Go on.
3 months ago, I kept getting worse. My wife took care of me as well as she could. Now she's gone.
Put this in your mouth.
They sent her someplace.
Don't talk. Kathy, come into the hall a moment.
Will he be all right, do you think?
He's half dead. Advanced lobar pneumonia. I could see it when he walked in. He should be in a hospital.
The Springfield Hospital?
Yes. Oh, I don't know, Kathy.
Well, isn't there anything we can do for him?
I don't know. I don't have any supplies here. They're more. Where's his wife?
She died last week in childbirth at our hospital.